Thunder.
Are you actually recording still, by the way?
It's always recording. It's always.
I guess I thought it
It's
was.
always
I know. I
recording.
thought it was. I know. We just chop and change it, don't we? No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
No, no. I had this. I had this situation at work last night because I wasn't on call, which is what I've done the Monday to Wednesday when I had like no sleep for 3 days, and I was. And Damien was like, "Oh, can we call? Can I call you tomorrow morning? We could chat about the team." I was like, and he called me, and I just went, "Hello," and he's just like, "Are you okay?" It's like noon. I'm like, "Don't go there." I have to go back into the hospital at 4:30 in the morning. Please don't.
Oh,
But it's fine. But no, last night I was in like the little kind of community pharmacy bit. There's a reason why I didn't go into community pharmacy and I went to hospital pharmacy. And this, someone came, one of the dispensers came up to me and was like, "Oh, someone at the counter is quite distressed. They want to speak to a pharmacist." I'm like, "Right, cool. Like cough medicine. Like, what do you want? Like, why are you so panicky?" And this woman's like, "Oh, look at my baby. Come and look at my baby." And I'm thinking, oh, it felt like one of those kind of like, like the superhero films where they go, "Oh, the baby," and then they have to like,
yeah.
the superhero goes and like swoops them out of the tree or wherever the hell they are. So I was just like, "Oh, do you want to like come into my consultation room?" And then she literally walks over with this baby and like plonks it on the desk, basically just plonks it straight on the counter, and this baby's obviously cooing, and as babies do, and and it was really cute. I tried hard not to melt, and I was like, okay, so what seems to be the problem? This baby looked like fine, like it looked okay, to be fair. And I was like, why, what's wrong? She went, "Oh, just there's this rash everywhere." And I'm like, right. It says there's rash everywhere, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, right. It was a fairly young mum, to be fair, so I was like, oh, okay. I said, "Oh, she don't want to go into the consultation room," because there's other people that are kind of queuing behind them and thinking, "Do that, is it really appropriate?" And this lady, no word of a lie, literally opens this baby grow and like pulls it down. So his baby's like now naked, like on my counter, and she's like, and I was like, okay, so there's like a bit of rash coming up. I'm thinking, okay, it might be like nappy rash or whatever. And then she took the nappy off. I don't know why she took the nappy off, but she did.
What? In the pharmacy?
Just on the counter, yeah. And I'm just here like, we could just go into the the consultation room. It's private, it's nice. We could go in there. And then it was a male baby.
Yes.
And you could probably fill in the gaps of what happened next.
Yes, my boy.
I had to do a matrix, like when Neo does the whole like backwards kind of like bendy thing that he does to avoid like those bullets.
Yeah.
I had to do that because obviously you take a nappy off a male baby and the golden fountain goes psh.
Yeah.
So I almost got pissed in the face by a baby because this lady wanted to show me his nappy rash, and I'm like, "Here, take some of this ointment and just leave, please." I know.
How was your Sunday night?
Oh dear. So that was my Friday night.
I love that.
I almost got pissed on by a baby. Yes.
How did you not piss on you?
How did it not piss on me?
Yeah.
I didn't because I did like.
You had to run from it.
Matrix. No, because I could see she was trying to pull. Because I could tell. Because Jen, because she said, "Oh, he's got this rash." So I knew it was a male baby, and she pulled the nappy down, and I think because I kind of stepped away a little bit anyway, just because I was a bit kind of like, oh, because she took the nappy off him, and I didn't expect her to. That thankfully I was a little bit away that it managed to avoid me. Yeah. The counter was less lucky, but thankfully I could clean the counter. The counter was fine, but. So there's all these people just queuing for the prescription. They've been to A&E with like eye patches on and all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, getting pissed on by a baby, but it's fine.
I didn't realize like the actual struggles of a pharmacy worker.
This is the thing. These sorts of things are happening to me on a ward but it's a ward. So what do you expect? Like there's people with dementia and they like pull their trousers down randomly and go like, "Help me," and I'm just like, it's not my job. I'm not trained for this. Get the nurse.
My wife, she obviously when she was a nurse on the wards, she would have people constantly pulling out their colostomy bags.
Oh,
obviously they pull it out and it'd just be like waste everywhere. And then it was quite funny because she one of her best mates and someone she was on shift with, they all had laughing and giggling. She bought some new trainers and she slipped in it.
Oof.
I've done that before.
And then obviously my wife then proceeded to absolutely wet herself laughing in front of the patient. Couldn't help it. And I was like, oh god, okay, fine.
Yeah, seeing as we're talking about poo stories, I got one. Go on.
I
used to work on these zip lines. and everyone prior to getting on the zip, they have to go through inspection, yada yada. Anyway, this guy got through. He had a bag under his shirt, a colostomy bag. So when he's coming down this line, there's a guy to receive him to like get to catch him, right?
Yeah.
He's coming down at like 50 miles he's coming down at 50 miles an hour. He gets brakes, he slows down a bit. The guy that was like reaching out to grab him caught the man, and his bag popped on him. So imagine that at Center Parks. Yeah,
Oh no.
it's a nice
Sounds
soggy.
delightful.
Yeah, it's a nice soggy tourist come to give you a hug.
Oh no.
To
Good
be
times.
fair, when I was
Feels
an
bad,
M when I was an M farm, so when I was at uni and I worked in like a Lloyd's pharmacy like back home, I didn't realise that the actual colostomy bags, you can put this like perfume in it. It's like an oil based like perfume you put in the bag, and it's pine scented, and it comes on prescription, so you can put it in the bag to make the bag smell like pine needles. Apparently, don't know how much that'd work, because surely
Ooh.
the smell of shit would override the smell of pine, but you never know. But
Let's find out.
Let's find out. How do you want me to buy? I'm not expert. Well, let's just go.
Someone shit in this bag. Do it. But doesn't
like a bag for life? Well, get like a bag for life and just like and then just shit in it and see what happens.
For science.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got like a Tesco bag or something in the cupboard. I can do a test to you now if you like.
Real time, son. I can't.
Next time you do like, if you do like a 24-hour live stream, still you can test it, because you can put like the bag under your chair, and so you don't have to
That's
get
a
up.
great idea.
You could just like shit in the bag.
Thank you.
I'll get you one of those like kind of brown cardboard bottles from work as well. So you can like, you know what? I'll just get you an entire commode. I'll just put a commode in your room, and you can just sit in that all the time, and you can just open the hatch.
I can I can see it. The poo bag championship. Yes, it can happen live.
Oh.
We'll think about it. That's in the book.
Oh dear.
Isn't
Tony? Don't you work in an airport?
I do. Yes,
Tell me.
Yes. I we seen some things literally yesterday. So I done an early yesterday. So I started at 5 o'clock. First flight we got to. The doors had a mechanical failure and the hydraulic is locked on it, so we couldn't actually close it. And there was literally all the passengers like leaning out the window, doing their little tut 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 tut. We want to go on holiday. So we had to manually pump the doors closed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we immediately went to a 777, the big sort of cross world flights, the Boeings. Went to one of those, and they overbooked the flight by about 30 people.
No.
Oh
So
God.
obviously it was literally they just selected people at random, and I felt so bad for this one guy because his friends all got through apart from him.
No.
So obviously I couldn't help but laugh because they all went through. They turned around and they were like swearing at him like, "Hey, see you there." It was going to Barcelona. And he
that's
was the
awful.
only one out of his group to be left behind. And I thought that's quite funny because his friends were taking the mickey out of him rather than feeling sorry for him. And that's what I found funny. And I felt so bad for him. But usually they get a flight later that day. But yeah, so they overbooked it. And then the third flight, again, went to a straight on. Like it was literally back-to-back flights. And usually you get a bit of downtime. But we just didn't get that yesterday. And the third flight, the same thing, 777, the big planes. The two wheels burst, so
Huh?
it had to get an emergency change from the engineers, and it was
Huh?
like, okay,
Wheels.
cool.
The burst.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I
So
thought-
obviously we couldn't load it because it wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to pick it up.
I thought they changed all the wheels since Concorde.
Oh, they have to change it regularly. Like if you think of the amount of speed and the sort of how heavy they put the brakes on when you land. It obviously it takes its toll, and they have to change it like every couple weeks. It's mental.
Well, aren't they on run flats? Can you get run flats?
But even then, like it's still going to do a lot of damage to the tire because it's just the speed they're coming in, and obviously the brakes that how hard they hit on the brakes. That's why if you when you're landing and the whole plane just shakes like mad.
Yo.
No, so yeah, it was eventful yesterday. It's I love working at an airport though. I'm not gonna lie, it's lovely. Like you can go out there first thing in the morning, and especially during summer, it's going to be absolutely beautiful.
So are you working on the ground?
Yeah, so part of the team that I'm in, we do the obviously loading, unloading, all the cargo and the pushback as well. You know, obviously when you get taxied onto the runway.
Yeah. Oh, you get to wave at the pilot.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's quite funny because we have a headset guy, right? So we have someone on headset and he walks out like I think every like on our team he would walk out and he would stand next to the to the pushback, which is like a 4-ton truck, and he just got this little man in the background just sort of waving the flag around, letting the pilot know he's ready to take off. And obviously they do their, they wave, say goodbye, while the passengers are waving as they go on their lovely
Yeah.
holiday while you're stuck at work, which is delightful. Um, but no, like it's good. It's obviously a physical job. I've always been a physical job kind of guy. To be fair, I've never
Mhm.
been a. I tried sitting at a desk, couldn't do it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously it was between that and chefing, and I decided that I couldn't be asked to work 90-odd-hour weeks anymore. So
Dude,
here I am.
I was a chef. I passed my apprenticeship, but I've been in kitchens majority of my life.
Hmm,
Gastro pubs. Yeah, I've run a few sections.
love that.
Yeah. We could, I mean, we can talk, I'm sure. But we got to mention some things about gaming and the org.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, um, it's a bit crazy actually because I think Tiny only joined what at the beginning of this month, start of
This
this month.
whole, I was saying on, I think I said last podcast how dynamic the like roster is. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much stuff going on. I feel like Tony, bless him, is my my support, my agony aunt,
Mm,
because it's just like there's so much stuff. We've got new players coming in, people moving from one place to another, and it's just been a bit hectic. And because I was like the captain of the previous roster, I feel like I've kind of over. I don't know. It's like because I was here before, it's kind of like trying to adjust, and it's just been a bit manic. But yeah. So but no, like please tell us, Tony, about your like kind of current like position in the in the org, I guess, because we kind of missed that a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, joining, I think it was obviously, I think I was mainly joining obviously as a player. Um, and we were trying to sort of sort out the teams beginning of the year, and obviously that presented some challenges. But once we were in our teams, the guys felt quite comfortable for me to sort of take the lead, if you will, whether it's like backseat or not, as a captain. So obviously became the captain in yellow, and then it was like, right, okay. I found myself in a new
Yeah.
team with a group of people that have been here for quite a while and have their way of doing
Hmm.
things, and yet I've got to somehow get my input in there without coming across like I know better, because it's very easy to get sort of lost in that and like, no, we're doing it this way, no, we're doing it this way, when it's
mm,
not what it's about. At the end of the day, those guys that I'm on a team with, they are the best at their roles. And
I
I
agree.
can't exactly go in and tell them how to play. They don't need coaching. I think they just need someone to say, this is the final decision. Um,
Yeah, I
so
agree.
obviously we come to every decision as a team conclusively, which I've always been about. Like even if I was in the kitchen, even when I was a chef, and I was running a team, I would never just sort of take over. I would have the final say, but I would never just say, no, we're doing it this way. Your opinions don't matter, etc. Um, I think it's very important that everyone feels heard, because they play twice as well if they feel respected and heard at the
Hmm.
end of the day.
oh, I love
I
that.
agree. Yeah.
There's
Mm.
something that I learned where I was pushed in
Yeah.
service. I was really pushed.
Mhm.
Um, and I had to make a chocolate signature for someone's birthday.
Yeah.
So it wasn't happening for me. And then the dish boy, dude, Dishy come to me and he went, "Yo, you got to mix some milk with the white chocolate, and then it will come to you." And I was like, "Oh, like the guy's obviously seen people do it." And I was having a bit of like I was going mad,
Yeah.
but it shows that everyone knows something.
Yeah. And I think you got to realize that in a lot of places you generally start your way from the bottom. I remember we had this kid come in, and I think he was about 17, and obviously everyone wrote him off like yeah, put him in pot wash, etc. Um, and we were a chef down, and they were going to get an agency chef in, and I just said no, I'm taking him on my section, so I was the sous chef. So obviously. I just said no. He's part of my team today, and funnily enough, he's been working in the kitchen with his parents. His parents owned a restaurant, and he's been working with them ever since he could remember. And he was probably one of the most efficient workers I've ever had on my team. Honestly, he was absolutely incredible, and everyone was so ready to write him off. And I think there's a stigma in kitchens, especially that if you're not, seasoned and battered and bruised, then you're not going to be able to cope. But I think the challenges for me was I was quite young, sort of going into those authoritative roles when I was in the kitchen, and obviously you get a bit of pushback because guys have been there for 20 years, and you're telling them they're doing it wrong, and they're obviously going to, they're not going to listen to what you say. Why would they, right? So I think the pressure as well, you're on extra pressure to perform if you're already against the odds anyway. So I always bring that to everything I do now. I think I'm very much a relaxed person. I don't let myself get stressed. I've been there, done it. The pressure's got to me in a few in the kitchens a few times, and I've ever since last time it happened, that was the turning point for me. Because as you know, Seal, like it can be a very dark place in the kitchen because you're grinding 15 and 16 hours a day, and you do not matter to anyone.
Yeah.
And that's very easy to sort of take its toll on you. And it did take its toll on me for a bit. But the crazy thing is, like, people look at games and think, people are silly, they're just playing games. It's like a fairy tale land, but it's not. Like, I think it's genuinely accurate to say I think games actually saved my life, because if I didn't have that, I would have just kept getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And I think part of what's so good about the organization is there's a community of people that sort of keep you going. I know Tiny said that I was almost like the person on the side to keep her going, but it's the same. What's the other way around? I've spoken to Tiny when if I'm feeling down, and it's just having that community there drives you up when everything else in your life is not necessarily going to plan. It can really take its toll, but having a community of gamers, you're all there for the same reason. There's no sort of exclusion, if you like, based on who you are, where you're from, your age. You're all there for one thing, and you're all communally sort of respectful of one another because of that.
Exactly, I completely agree, because I think a lot of thing with gaming as well, because we all go under different, like, well, maybe not yourself, Tony, but like people go under like different names, and so you don't even know how old people are. I know we had this like big discussion. We Night Lot was in a chat, and we were trying to figure out how old everybody was, and we had ages ranging from like 18 to like late 30s, and it was like it's mad, and people don't obviously realize every little detail about everybody.
Yeah.
And we have people that with such different, like, whether it's different jobs, different work styles, different lifestyles, different family dynamics and things, and it is really nice. And yet people obviously we let off, we'll say like, oh yeah, I've got this going on or whatever. Like I know, like I said, I was on call this week. It's my last ever on call, so whoop whoop. Never have to do it ever again. And bless him, Dean. Dean had messaged me, just private message saying, oh, I hope you're okay. Hope you're staying safe with heart fate. Like a little love heart on the end. It's like, oh, that's really nice, sort of thing. Old people, because we don't discriminate, and that's a nice thing. Like everyone, obviously, I don't think you must have been in that chat, Tony, when people thought I was significantly older than I actually was. like Tanner thought I was older than him, and he's like, to be fair, Tiny, it's because of the job you do. I just assumed you were older, just because. And that's going back to the whole kitchen thing with age, because of my age, people think I'm not, just put a label. Oh, you're only, in your early 20s, you can't. And it's like, yes, but I've done all this training and and been to uni and all this sort of stuff. And and Chaos being Chaos, like, oh yeah, aren't you like 40? I know he said that's a complete joke, but that's just Chaos, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's he messes around. He always jokes.
But that's the thing. It's just so nice. I mean, obviously Seal is British, but obviously he's not even living in Britain at the moment. But you're still very much involved and and everything. So it's just nice. It's just nice. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just nice.
No, like we all vibe, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here for this.
100%.
We are here for that same reason, to enjoy ourselves and have that community aspect with it. With the encouragement side of things as well, I'm someone that needs encouragement with ideas and such, and I find that like this podcast, like a tournament I want to do, things like this, people are encouraging with ideas. So and going back to what I said, that everyone knows something as well. If you do know something, or if there's something you want to do, you should just do it. You should tell someone, and maybe something might happen. You don't know where it's going to lead.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree.
Yeah,
It's all about ideas bouncing. Like, I know you bounced back about the tournament. Obviously, I know we're going to talk about it in more detail, but like, you spoke to me about it. You were like, "Oh, do you think this would be better, or do you think this would be better?" And I said, "Oh, actually, I think we should have this many players against this many players." And you were like, "Actually, yeah, I think that is better." So even though it was your idea, we kind of bounced ideas off each other, and that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah. But I also wanted to say as well, what Tony was saying about the kitchen, man, I share that so much with. I had my struggles too. I really wanted to just let you know, like, I kind of get it. I think everyone in cooking has their own journey, but we push ourselves, we push hard. The good thing that comes from this sort of industry is you learn how to deal with people. I feel like you learn how to be very patient with people, and I think that skill is essential for gaming, especially with someone in your position here. And I think it's something we should learn to really push with working with people. There's a lot you can achieve.
Yeah.
And obviously, patience plays into a lot as well. Like, you've just captaining a team. Sometimes you have got to be on the patient side. I've not really had that. I've not really had many situations where I've had to be particularly patient. I feel like everyone's. I don't know about Team Yellow, but Team Red have been great. So I've never really had to be like, "Why aren't you here? Why aren't you?" I've never had to really like put my foot down or anything. But obviously, that is that element of patience that you can implement as like a captain.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're all adults, right? Like, you're not. You last thing you're gonna do is talk to someone like their teacher. Like, at the end of the day, as you said, you're all patient. You all respect each other, and that's the most crucial thing. Is the fact that you just got to speak to people how you want to be spoken to. And as well, like, I think necessarily coming in as a very new player, like my whole background is Dota, right?
Yeah.
Which, as I'm sure you know, is a very, very toxic community. And it's renowned as a toxic community, just not necessarily because of the players that are in there, but what the game actually brings out of you. Because it's, it can be an hour to 2 hours long per game, and then you lose because of one person's mistake, and then it's just it's so tilt inducing, and I hate that. So I think my favorite thing about Unite is 10-minute games. Everyone's here to have fun, and it's a nice change of course.
I agree. Coming from League, League was very much not quite an hour, not quite 2 hour games. I think the longest game of League I've had was probably been about an hour and a half, but that was like a one very rare circumstance. But League's probably renowned for its toxicity. I've had, because I've played like, typical like support, typical supports and things. And people put two and two together, and I've had the whole, go back to the, ironically, go back to the kitchen, which is quite ironic because you guys are chef and I'm not a chef. So gender reversal, Uno reverse card, that one. But I do enjoy cooking, but I've just never done it professionally. But go make me a sandwich, go back to the kitchen, or and in the voice chats, I just have like a random Russian person yelling at me, and it's just like, right, cool, yep, fine. It's incredibly toxic. Like, in fact, that's why I never really played League ranked. If you actually go on my League account, my rank is like very, very low because I just don't play it. Like, I'm Mastery 7 in a few, in a couple, in Maokai, and Mastery 6 and quite a few, and many others. But I just didn't play rank because it's just too toxic, man. I couldn't cope with it. So, yeah. so that's why, but I imagine Dota's probably, even because the games are so much longer, I imagine that's probably even worse, because if you have a throwaway game, that could be like the entire gaming time just gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I can literally, we were playing in a tournament once, and it was a 2 hours and 10-minute game, and then someone was out of position. We told them to back, and they didn't pay attention. They got caught out, and we lost the game. 2 hours and 10 minutes, completely gone. And I think as well, like, I hated what it done to your mental. sort of mental side of things. Like there's games where I was literally just sat there staring at the screen after and my brain could not function. And I hated that. I hated that was what it did to you. So obviously I left over, and it was kind of weird how I ended up playing for this team. So I just by chance found Apollyon, Jake streaming, and just popped into his channel, just chatting to him. Seemed like a decent guy, and I like the fact that it was like a relatively new streamer, because with the big ones, you get so many people typing in chat, you lose that personal connection. So I was like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna find someone that I can maybe duo stack with and just have a laugh with the Pokemon Unite." So I just off chance, I just said to him, "Do you fancy some games?" Played some games. I was supporting him in lane, and then it just became this thing. Like, whenever he was on, he would always invite me, and then all of a sudden I had this little duo queue going, and then all of us, I think I got a message randomly from him that said, "Hey, we are recruiting. Would you like to come and try out?" So I did, and
Nice.
now it's turned into this. And even if I didn't stop in that stream that day, or if he didn't think, "Oh, I've been playing duos with Tony, I know he can pull his weight, let's try and get him in." All of those little
Yeah.
decisions have brought us to where we are, and it's crazy. And I literally owe everything that I've done so far in this team to him taking the initiative and just sort of being a cool guy.
Yeah, we love Apo, bless him. No, because before we started recruiting other people and started splitting up the rosters and things, I was primarily the support player. Like, no one else played support apart from me.
Yeah.
Karis could play like defender slow bro, but that was about it. And I mean, Tunak can play pretty much anything, but he didn't like playing support that much, and that's not where his like. That's not, he's better at defenders and all rounders, which we obviously probably know by now.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure on me, because I was, quote unquote the captain, which I still, whenever I say I'm the captain, I always put it in quotation marks, because like I am, but like also I don't feel like I feel like I don't have nowhere near as much game knowledge as, let's say, some of my teammates, Lupus, Damien and Dean, like, especially, but I had that like umbrella term over it. But I felt like a lot of pressure, because if I couldn't do this tournament or couldn't do this script, and they had like no support player or no main support player, and that was like a lot of pressure, if you get my drift. So when they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, here's Tony, he plays a lot of support," I was like, "Great, wonderful, fabulous." And then it turns out after now we've split into two rosters, so we've kind of ended up in a similar position. But that's by the by. I mean, Damien can pick up support. Damien's basically duo support and defenders, kind of basically the same as me, so it works out quite well. But no, it's been obviously amazing having you and everything, and hopefully still have you for the long run. I really hope. So
Hopefully.
yeah,
We'll see how Worlds goes. See if I get booted.
No, absolutely not. No, at the end of the day, you said the whole thing about being captain in a new team. Didn't like Team Yellow like actually like vote for you to be captain? Wasn't that like kind of like a democratic decision? It wasn't like
Yeah,
yeah,
so
okay,
Dave
exactly.
literally,
So
he literally
yeah,
turned to the guys, and he basically asked for a captain, and obviously I threw my hat in the ring. I think I've always been one not to shy back, but then obviously as we sort of spoke and it came out, every single one of them requested for me to be on the team, and it's such a nice feeling. Because then I must be doing something right. Yeah, like if at the end of the day, if people are that sort of happy to have you on their team and happy to give you that role, um, Apo was straight on it. He he was sort of saying that in his mind I was the logical choice, because when I'm in games, like, I don't know if you've heard through comms, like, I'm always driving people. Um, and I will never just sit back and not like not communicate, I guess. Obviously we all have our tilt, and when I'm tilted, because I'm going quiet.
yeah,
So I
I'm
think
like
the
that.
main thing is obviously I enjoyed coming in to the team, and then finding this sort of big community that was like, okay, we're all going to push each other and drive each other, and the idea is that two teams get to world championships, right? So
hmm
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love the philosophy behind it, and I love the sort of the mental attitude of the org to do that.
And obviously we have like little friendly scrims probably before each
Mm.
practice, don't we? And I feel like it'd be a good idea to have a. I think we kind of discussed it briefly. Us having a 5v5, probably well, this week coming, because we've got February qualifiers literally in what, a week today.
Next Saturday, yeah.
A week today, yeah. So I feel like next week's going to be like this weekend, and next week's going to be like the grind, basically. But yeah. So we should have a red and yellow little scrim best of 3 draft.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as well, like you've got obviously with World Championships, qualifiers next week. I think this is especially Monday, it's the time to really sort of drill your comps in. And I think the main thing with the ranked at the minute is, Tiny, it's completely up in the air, isn't it? Like there's no structure to the ranked games at all.
No, to be fair, I'm still sat in Ultra primarily because I've been at work all week, haven't I? So I've barely played.
Yeah.
But solo queue, particularly if you're a support main, is an absolute pain in the bum. Because I can't play Blissey in ranked because I can't, especially if I'm solo queuing, because I have to rely on other people far too much. I can't solo queue Blissey, like absolutely not. Unless I get a cheeky steal of Ray with an egg bomb, I can't really do anything else. Which I have done before. I have done it. There's a clip out there of me stealing a dreadnought with an egg bomb, but that was but like I have to spam Blissey and Mime, not Blissey, Eldegoss and Mime, because they got a bit more damage. It's either that or I end up playing defenders or like Del Fox or something random. Sorry, Seal.
No, it's good. Like I'm in on it.
We just went off in our own little world.
No, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. This window into the world of what you guys get up to. That's what I think people are really interested to know more about, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. But like in terms of like Thunder news this week, the Thunder news this week, Yellow have had quite a few juicy scrims.
It was a big thing, right? So obviously, I think we've won most of them, and I think the one that we lost was actually probably the best scrim we've had. So we played Kimiko, and obviously, as you know, the team have always struggled against Kimiko because they dominated them all game, but then lost the Ray fight, right? And then Kimiko just go on and win the game. And I think we were dominating every game, but then all of a sudden we took a good Ray fight and we won 2 of the games. And yeah, we should have won more. Like we were the better team by far. And we were so unfortunate not to pick up the series win, but I think before this that we've never actually beaten them. So we've gone from never beating them to this real chance and the real shot of actually okay, we've beaten a team we've never beaten before, guys. We can actually do this.
Yeah, I mean, I played Kimiko with the old roster, obviously the roster split, and I know when we played them, we were at that time quite we're basically outmatched the entire game. Like the laning phase we weren't as good at as they were, and obviously at the end, penultimately, because obviously they stole more farm, they'd jungle invade, they'd basically get more but higher leveled than us. They've completely out leveled us. So of course the Wraith fight or the Zap fight, whatever. I can't remember what time we played them. I think it was still Thea Sky Ruins when we played them the first time. They obviously beat us in the Wraith fight because they just played the first part of the game better. Yeah. So they got them in the Wraith fight. They stocked, they had better. I think they even actually had better Unite move management than we did at that time. We had the Northwell tendency, particularly during the Zapdos League, where we'd use our Unite moves before Ray, and then be like they'd have 5 and we'd have like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think we're getting way better at that now. I don't think we do that at all now. I think we always go in with 5 now. It's very rare we don't. But no. So the fact that it's literally just come down to the Ray fight is a drastic improvement on what we were like probably about 5-6 months ago, probably I'd say. So no, that's really just good stuff. It's a major improvement, and that's
Well, that's it, isn't it? Like, is how can we improve and move forward as a team? And I think we've really sort of worked on our Ray fights, and we've really tried to grind in that mindset, because that's the hardest thing about any game, right? Is the mindset, adopting that mindset and really sort of pushing each other forward, especially when you're losing. It's so easy to get tilted. But we've put in that work and it's starting to pay off. We're nearly there. We're just trying to sort out our lane in a minute and just balance the games. But I think the beauty about it is that obviously I'm coming from a Dota background, and that's essentially all tactical, right? So I'm using that and I'm putting that into into Unite, and it's actually like, hold on, this is actually working. Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like yellow and red are in slightly different spots in terms of like progression. Not because red, no, just basically just because I think because yellow's been a more established team for longer. You've had that 5 stack longer than we've
yeah,
had ours. We've had a few. I won't go into it obviously, but we've had a few player changes in red, and I feel like now I feel like we've got a 5 stack now. We just need to. So things like the comps we haven't quite got down as of yet, but of course we're not going to pass off play in February qualifiers just because of that. Like I'd rather we just get in because at the end of the day you have still got a draft pick stage. So you could go in with this comp, but then actually you might not be able to play it because someone else picks it or someone else bans it or whatever. So you never actually have a. I mean, when I said in the last podcast, in terms of our comps, we have a comp A and then a 0.1, A.2, A.3 because you've got to like, okay, if this one gets stolen, oh yes, like for example, Chaos with Sableye, like oh, if Sableye gets banned, what else can Chaos play? Because there's likelihood that it will get banned because people hate it, sort of thing.
yeah.
So you've always got to have a plan A, B, C, and D, depending. So it's kind of I feel like the comps are more a strategy rather than a specific mon pick because you can't really have that specific mon pick purely because you've got that uncertainty of the other team, basically. If the other team being like, no, you can't have that. Or actually, no, we want to play that and it just not working in your favour.
Yeah, exactly. You're always going to come up against people that take the mons for their own strats. And
Absolutely.
I think it's just having that. I mean, essentially, comps are just who is your favorite mon to play in this situation. I think if you've got a team full of people all on the best Pokemons they play, then you've always got a good chance, right? Everyone knows the mons they're playing, everyone knows the way they need to play it, and then it's just the case of putting two and two together.
Yeah.
So, we're still sort of jumbling things around and just trying to figure out how we can get the most out of the strategies that we're running. And it's challenging. It's challenging, but
I
we will
feel
get there.
But I feel like, I don't know if it's just because we have got an extra year we have had an extra year. But I feel like at the moment we're in a way better position than we were last year. But then again, that's probably because we've had an extra year. I think last year's Worlds is just when Tano and Apo joined. I think they
Yeah.
literally joined probably a week or two before we actually went into the first quals, to be fair, and that just wasn't enough time, to have like 2 new players out of like a group of 5. That's it's nearly half your team,
Nothing,
isn't
is
it?
it?
It's nearly half your
Yeah.
team, isn't it? So it's a bit of a. But I feel a lot better about this World. But also, I suppose you've got to keep in mind is the teams that were in last year's Worlds, if they're still a 5 star, they've also had an extra year. So it's kind of like, trying to balance it. But then again, that'll always be the case. You'll have people that
Yeah,
have played it
I see
longer.
that's a good thing because if you think about it, that's where people get complacent as if they played the same thing again and again and again. I think the beauty about it, like we've got this year to really push as far as we can go, and then I think Apo made a very good point that next year is the year to really try and make a push and get into Worlds.
Yeah,
I think,
this
but
year.
obviously, if we can do that this year, then that's great. But I think next year is the one where we really sort of make our mark as a team.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, if we can do that this year, then we're going to do our absolute best to do that.
At the end of the day, I mean, obviously, I'm a very logical person. I have, I do a very, I do a very logical like job. I'm quite, straightforward in my way of thinking. And realistically, we're as a teams, we've not been as formulated for as long as perhaps other teams are. So that's purely just a realistic point of view. The synergies, we have got good synergy, but like it could be improved by just time of play. Me and Dean always joke that we have like a similar. It was really strange. It was really funny actually because we were playing. He was streaming, so he's got the clip somewhere. It was so funny. I can't remember what I was. I think I was playing Blissey and I was following him around with him on Sylveon. Probably, of course, it was Sylveon. Following him around, and literally we both saw. I think it must have been the jungler or the top lane, or we saw somebody come into the central area, and we both literally at the same time both did this animation where we both just turned around and slightly walked the other way. We both did that literally at the same because I was literally stood next to him. I was ready to helping hand and safeguard him. I was stuck with him like glue, and
Yeah.
we literally both moved at the same time. And he just kind of went, oh, like Tiny, you're like me, like oh, you're one of us, sort of thing. And it was just like, oh, in sync, in sync. So, but obviously that develops with time, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's good to have realistic expectations. I'm sure Seal would agree, in his tournament days, doing various tournament things, and
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like
sure
from
he's not making sure he's not asleep. Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm good. Like for real, I'm sitting here with a big smile on my face, hearing you two just kind of air it out where you're at, where you want to be. I think it's very interesting, and it's exactly what people need to hear about, because there is a lot more than what maybe a player would think about the positions you're in right now. You can't just, it's not somewhere you can just be pleasing people. You've got to make big decisions for the team. And I get that as well, where I'm coaching my team at the moment. I've got to cut people, man, if they're not showing up on time, or I've got to fix a dynamic if they're not communicating well. I've got to be that guy that sort of holds it together, but also pushes them forward. And I wanted to mention as well what you brought to mind about the understanding people and having that sync, being in sync. Again, man, being in a kitchen with someone, you get it over time. You don't have to talk to someone over time. You just know from where they're standing. You know what's going on. You know what's up. It's true. You don't have to talk to anyone. Best job in the world. Best job. Don't talk to anyone. It's great. And you do amazing things. That's what it comes down to. It's mileage, man. You get with the right people and keep your heads down and go for it. Just give it your best. Everyone has bad days, but you can get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, just to add on that, I think we're in a very good situation at the minute where we are new. And I think because we are new and we've got this new sort of exciting team dynamic, and it's like, okay, well, how can we push this? How can we do it? I think it gives that fresh insight, sorry, but I also think as well, like the biggest thing in any esport, well, in anything really, is everyone plays their game. Everyone has their own little ego, right, in game, and I think you can't sort of come in and just say like, no, we're going to do it this way, this way, this way, because at the end of the day, whether we all want to admit it or not, egos do get bruised, and you just have to sort of be like, okay, do you know what? We're gonna take 5. How can I get the best out of you? And that's what it comes down to, I think, is how can I give you what you need without sacrificing what my intentions are for the team. I think it's very easy just to sort of say, "Oh no, you do what you want just for that peaceful, that peace of mind," right? But that's not what I'm about. If it's not, I will straight up call someone out if it's not working. But I won't do it in a way that makes them feel that I'm just on them for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Like I won't just say, "Oh, you're doing bad." I will try and explain how we could do it better rather than just saying, "Oh, it's not working, you're the problem." Because I refuse. They had this a lot in Dota. I refuse to ever admit that it's one person that's doing the mistakes. As a team, if you are not driving that person and you are not sort of helping that person, guide that person, then you are just as responsible.
Oh, right on.
And I think it's very easy to lose sight of that, I think, for a lot of people, especially nowadays. Like you think about how easy it is in sort of more established professional rosters, like how easy it is for people to actually get cut from a team. So there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure, and you've got to perform. And I think it gets to people sometimes, but that's when how nice this org actually is comes into play.
There's actually a lot of relevancy to this as well. Just like in the greater part of business that we're all becoming a technology society where everything's online. We don't leave our homes. People are looking to esports to motivate a team and how to turn a team into something incredible. It's something to think about.
I mean, I know just from trying to be a captain of Red. Even I was the captain of the previous roster. I've learned so much through like working with like the rest of Team Red. 'Cause a lot of Team Red are new players I've never worked with before until probably about a month ago, if that. And I've had so much like kind of self development through captaining Red. Because I know I'm trying to think how to explain it. Like I know sometimes I took more of a passive approach when I first started Red. I think I felt like a bit like, oh my gosh, there's new players. I don't want to be like this imposing like martyr, like you must do this and da da. But actually, probably from speaking to my teammates, I've probably been a little bit too passive. and I probably need to, be a bit more of a Billy Big Bollocks and try and like get a bit more kind of into it a little bit more in terms of like, I think what it is because I've got like a very good shot caller on my team, and I trust him in his entirety. But I've definitely learned so much from like trying to work with Team Red and things, and I think it's kind of nice how we've got this kind of like mutual understanding and mutual respect now, and it's worked really well, and they know that they can talk to me about things, and they know that I can. I'm more. I feel like with me being a captain, I'm more like a pastoral support kind of person. Like they'll come to me if they've got an issue, be it an org issue or a personal issue. I felt they'd come and talk to me. Hopefully, I don't know, but no, it's yeah. But I understand the whole like team responsibility. I feel like it means sometimes I used to do this quite a lot, and I had to kind of like refrain myself from doing it. But if like say I've got one of my teammates out of position, being a natural like support player, my instinct is trying to get them out of that situation. I don't know if you feel the same, Tony. That's like my natural instinct. And I know a couple of times people have said to me like, yes, I can understand why you've done it. That's like your instinct. You want to protect your like kind of like I know I'm used to play League, so I'll say like my ADC equivalent, but like your laner equivalent.
Yeah, your carry essentially.
Yeah. You want to get them out, especially if you're like Blissey or something or Eldegoss, and you've got like a heal or something. You just want to like go in there, try and heal them, and buff
Turn
them
the
to try and
fight.
get them
Yeah,
out again.
absolutely.
Yeah, try and get them out. But sometimes I do that when it's not beneficial, and sometimes I end up dying instead, or which I think, well, if I die and my carry lives, like. Best of a bad situation, I guess. But then sometimes we both die, and it's like, oh yeah, shit, that was not good. That was not a good thing to do. So I'm just learning so much all the time, even though, But it's good. It's good stuff. No, and that's again team responsibility, but then also not putting yourself in that position. So it's very much a weigh up situation. But I agree with you entirely.
I mean, you see it so many times, right? Even in professional games, someone gets caught out, and ultimately is if I can get in and get that person out, but I lose, say as you said, if you're a Blissey, if I die as a Blissey and my Garchomp gets out, then it's worth it, right? I think, but ultimately you don't want to be in that position anyway. But you will always find people getting caught out. They'll invade your jungle, and it's just cutting your losses sometimes. At the end of the day, if there's not much of a level difference between you and said, Mon, then it's better off just to let them die and reset and try and catch them on a counter if they push forward. But I think that's when the sort of strategy comes in, and the new players that you're with, they've all got the beauty about new players is the fact that you can almost mold them to how you want. And they always each one provides a fresh insight to what they've seen from other teams. And I think the beauty about it is the vibe that's in yellow now is like we're all new and we're all excited and we're all putting in on our ideas, and it's so nice to be, because I think when we started it was almost a bit hesitant, whereas now like we're going in, we're absolutely hammering. Like we went we done a stack. We were three stacking actually, and we had two randoms that were just absolutely redundant. They might as well have just been bots, right? And we came up against Team Tilted, who were in the finals last year against Noun Esports.
Yeah. Remember that
And
game well.
we absolutely annihilated them. We played them 2 games in a row, absolutely demolished them the first game. And the second game, they actually rotated 4 Pokemon up top at minute 1, and just stayed in the lane. And they just stayed as a 4 because we'd done that much of a job on them at the first game that they had no choice. Which I found quite funny, because it just shows the potential. And then obviously, yes, it gets frustrating because then if we have a bad night's practice, and it's just like, how do we get from there to this? And it's just drilling in that consistency really. And as you said, like I think it's fair to say like the sort of the reputation you have, you're a very kind and sort of nurturing person. And I think
that's sweet.
people almost I come across a bit blunt sometimes, and I think
No, I don't.
it's
I don't think you do. For the record,
I
I know you say that, but I really don't think. I don't think you are. I don't. Just because I'm used to other people, but like I don't think you
yeah.
are at all. I don't think you are. No.
And I'm very chilled out. Look, at the end of the day, like I want to get to Worlds, right? I want to make a go of this, and I want this to be don't get me wrong, the dream will eventually be to play full time, right? And whether it's playing / streaming, like that's the dream. That's what I'm pushing for. But I think I'm I always have the mentality that I would always expect someone to receive feedback how I will. And don't get me wrong, that's not necessarily how it works. But I think if I wanted someone to sort of tell me how I could improve, then I do that for someone else. I'm not going to say, oh, you're not doing good enough in this and this and this. I would just say we are not as efficient in this area as we could be. How can we improve it? And I get their opinion on it because more often than not, we've had it a few times where I've said that and I've said, how can we improve it? And then they've said the answer. And it's like, okay, do that. And then they do it, and then they absolutely stomp their lane, or they stomp jungle, or they stomp whatever fight they're in. It's like everyone. The thing I love is everyone in this team, everyone in this organization has the potential to become a world-class player without doubt. Like, these
Yeah.
teams have ultimate potential, but you have to sort of put that grind in and draw that out because it doesn't come naturally. These now esports, these TTVs, these these Team Tilteds, all the sort of big teams as well from the Philippines coming through in Thailand, they don't just play like that normally. They've spent hours and hours and hours practicing and drilling the same comps again and again and again. And not just the comps, when they go in duo stacks, they're playing in their lanes. We all do it where we join the ranked game and we're like,
Mhm.
oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go jungle today. You play in the duo stack and you play in the lanes you are to build that synergy, and that's all it is. It's just
Yeah.
synergy.
I mean, sometimes you don't have the choice. Like, if I go to a game and there's like 3 defenders, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to play Delphox jungle because there's no damage. I can't then go Blissey. I have Blissey, Slowbro, Mamo, and Eldegoss or whatever. Like, that's not going to work. In which case, yes, I'll have to take Delphox jungle. And if you ask Lupus about my jungle game, I'm sure he'll be like, yeah, Tiny in jungle is not the one. Just has to say that. Like, it's not a natural thing for me. Like, I didn't like playing
Yeah.
jungle in League. It's not something I'm used to doing. But at the end of the day, if I'm solo queuing and no one's taking it, I'd rather I take it than somebody else. But no, it's all about the practice, it's all about the synergy. That's why I try and keep people where they need to be, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And I feel like now we've got a 5 stack that I know exactly where people play and what they play. We can obviously shake it up. Like, we could play double support. I know Damien can play a support as well, so we could play duo support or duo defender because me and Damien have that ability to do so. But ultimately, like, I know who plays what. I know Red plays jungle. I know, Deanon plays mainly evolutions, but like attackers in general. And Lupus, I mean, Lupus can play anything, but he's rocking all round at the moment, which is good for us. So
That makes sense. Yeah, 100%.
I wonder
yeah, so
if you guys help me with this. I wanted to ask a question. Is there like a replay feature with Pokemon Unite?
Not at the moment that I'm aware of. You can
no,
get the stats of the game, but you can't get the video. Like I would absolutely love for there to be a feature like that.
Yeah.
I
like
know,
Unite
obviously.
API or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if you could just sort of download the highlights of the game. But I think as just sort of the level of the game and the should we say how in depth that it actually is not that much at the moment. But the game's continuously growing, so they probably hopefully will put that in at some point. But that's why I think if you do customs, it's quite important to, they would usually step in as an admin so he can record the game from a all perspective, because otherwise you're just focusing on one player's perspective. I try to record as many games as I can, but ultimately it's just from my perspective, which is a bit of a challenge sometimes because I can't comment what anyone else is doing if I can't see them.
Yeah. So the reason I ask is I'd like to offer that as someone that can just spectate your games and get that content from you in training to reflect on. Like, if it's possible, I don't know how it would work, but I could certainly like join you, record your games, and then you're gonna have yourself some videos there. If that works,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean
know.
that will work for customs. Unfortunately, they haven't put a feature in ranked where you can have an extra recording.
Yeah.
I think the only way to do that is if you spectate someone, because you can spectate someone, but it's 2 minutes behind. So, you're losing that in-game time, but at the end of the day, that means that you can get that sort of you can get that video to watch back after.
Okay.
But no, that's very kind of you. So that'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah. Just give me a heads up. I should be able to join. We can get it done. Also, I wanted to ask Tony a bit about maybe your gaming history. Like, have you always played Dota, or were you a PlayStation man, or Nintendo 64 when it came out, or what?
I've every game under the sun.
Yeah.
Like starting with, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, Atari, like all of those games like I've been playing since I was very, very young, and I've just been absolutely obsessed with it because it can just, I love the fact that it can just pull you from the world that you're currently in and almost just immersify you in this virtual reality. You don't care what's going on in the real world anymore because you're focusing on what you need to do in the game. I've always loved strategy games, always.
Command and Conquer.
Yeah,
Yes.
Imperium Wars,
Yes, let's
Thunder Wars,
go.
absolutely loved it. I
It's
love
still
Total
good.
War.
It's still
Oh, it's
amazing.
wicked.
The esports on it, yeah.
There's some days if I can't sleep, I'll just wake up and play an hour of Total War. Like, I think I've always been into gaming, but I think Dota. So one of my best friends I've known since I was like, what, 2 years old. We actually started playing Dota together because we were in college, and then we had these, really crappy laptops, and then we downloaded Dota, and it was to the
Yeah.
point where if we didn't have it on the least, like the lowest quality settings available, our laptops would just overheat. Um,
Mhm.
but we made it work, and we were, he w- we was he would come over and would stay up until 4, 5 a.m. just playing Dota, and it was just, I loved it. I've met lifelong friends through Dota, and I think now I'm at a point where I can comfortably leave it alone. Like I can go back and I can play 1 or 2 games, but I can leave it alone now and think I've done my time there in that game.
Yeah.
It's too
You make
toxic for me.
you
I'm
make it
moving
sound
on.
like jail, like I've done my
Yeah.
time.
Oh, it might as well be. Like it's just, I think the one thing I've learned from Dota more than anything is it's a very sick mental game. And I think it wasn't
Mm.
necessarily about what you were playing or how you played it, it's who can break the other team. And I think mentality wise in tournaments, it was if you could break the mind of the other team, then you get a win very easily. So you would troll them and you would be almost toxic in a game, and it's promoted that. Dota promotes toxicity in games. It promotes, if you outplay someone, dance on top of them while they're dying and forced to look at your screen, tip them, spam chat wheel lines. And I think it's it promotes that. And I think the
Yeah.
pro scene as well is just like almost added
Mm.
fuel to the fire essentially. Whereas I love the fact you don't have a lot of chat wheel lines in Pokemon Unite because it would have exactly the same thing would happen. Um,
I
but I
mean,
think, sorry,
I,
go on.
I sometimes fire a sarcastic thanks if someone leaves me to
Oh
die.
yeah, absolutely.
GG easy.
I'll put on the wheel. I'll put like thanks or like
I
help me or thanks, and that's literally it. Like I'll die and I'll go thanks.
I will ping check it out on a player for about 2 minutes straight. All right. And I think as well, like, is obviously you have moments like that, but I think as well after the games you're not feeling so heavy-headed. Um, but I'm pretty much fully on Pokemon Unite now. I don't really play any other games. I occasionally play a bit of Total War or Call of Duty, just on the PS5 just to sort of pass the time. But yeah, I think my main game is definitely Pokemon Unite now, and I think the thing for me as well is it's much more fun. It's much more enjoyable for me to do content on Pokemon Unite than any other game.
Hmm. I think I
Um,
need to learn more about this game as well. Bulbasaur's shown me the basics so far, but I'd like to know where I stand, how far I can go with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately the test is to jump into a game, right? So I would probably just suggest if you go into a custom game, put yourself on a team full of bots. If I'm on the
Hmm.
game, put me on the other team with a team full of bots, and that will really just sort of test where you're at. And not just that, it's not just about, oh yeah, you do a 1v1. The, I think the bots are such an underrated thing
Yeah, I
in
agree.
in Pokemon Unite because people are like, oh, their bots are terrible. They're not. They're not.
No,
They
they're
do.
actually
They
quite good.
do. They do exactly what you would expect them to do. As
Hmm.
randoms, they do. I've witnessed randoms play worse than bots more times than I can possibly imagine.
Hmm.
And I think having bot games and having custom games, it really gives you the chance to expand on your Pokemon pool, and then you can take that into a standard, and then you can take that into ranked. I think you have that process.
Hmm.
If I'm learning a new Pokemon, I will go in a 1v1 with a bot and I will just practice it a few times until I'm comfortable, take it into a standard, and then when I'm absolutely demolishing a lane, then I'll take it into ranked.
I think so far I've found my Pokemon as well with Snorlax. Um, And I've been finding interesting memes on TikTok. Something about Lepani, the Joker and the Batman. I don't know if you've seen that one. I don't need to explain. But I mean, for me, what are some good Pokemon to be starting with? What does my team need?
I mean, it changes so often that is you can't really. I'm always the frame of mind that you can't really play what's needed. You play what you're best on.
Okay.
So I would much rather have a team of three supports that are absolutely incredible with those supports than having two people play all rounder and they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, me personally, I started with Charizard, Snorlax, and Blastoise. Those were my first three, and then I moved on to Wiggly after. But I think my favorite one was probably Blastoise because that almost covers two roles in one. You can play as an all-rounder essentially with that defender sort of tankiness, and you can do some
Mm.
real damage. And I think I like defender and support because you're almost controlling fights, and that's essentially your role is to control the fight. You
Hmm.
let your attackers do the damage, but you're there to zone the Pokemon out, or you're there to trap them into your with your team.
Okay.
Um, so Snorlax is a very good starter
I love
um,
him. Yeah, I think he's brilliant.
he's really an excellent starter and I think if you get a good Snorlax, like it's horrible to play against. Tiny can say this. I'm sure
Yeah,
Tiny
yeah,
would say
yeah.
the same thing. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
horrible to play a good Snorlax against a good Snorlax player.
But like Blastoise as well, it's ult's quite easy to play. I'd probably
Mm.
say. No, granted, you can kind of have a Blastoise ult on steroids where you can implement like the eject button and you can try and do like some funky shit
Mm.
with it. But for the most part, the Blastoise ults. It's got good secure. It can control a team fight obviously really well. If you get like a 5-mon knock up, then you're winning sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like say Blastoise is quite a solid choice. Say Blastoise and even Snorlax to a certain extent. Snorlax as well is a really good choice. I think Wigglytuff's quite an easy one as well to pick up.
Hmm.
Dazzling Gleam Wigglytuff's quite like Sing and Dazzling Gleam Wigglytuff's quite is very annoying. You got
It's
the
very
secure,
annoying.
you got the Sting, you got the sleep, and the ult's quite easy to manage as well because you just find
Mm.
all your team and ult them, give them all shield, and you're good to go again, sort of thing. So they're
Okay.
probably they're probably the safest mons in terms of like attacker wise. I mean, obviously I don't play that many attackers,
Mm.
but
I mean,
like Pikachu's quite easy, I suppose.
yeah, the problem is with easier monster play, you've got so much more to do well. Like, I think
Hmm.
it's at the end of the day, if you can learn the mechanics of, let's say, Mew, if you learn the mechanics of Mew, you will do well in a game no matter what. Like, because it's such a hard Pokemon to learn that when you do, you are just very good in the game. Whereas if you're playing somewhere like a Pikachu, a Snorlax, Blastoise, Charizard, where it's a very almost big entry level Pokemon to learn, you have to play so much better in order to almost stay consistent. Like you can have good Pikachu players that can't make a difference in a rank game. Whereas if you have someone that's not a very good Dodrio player, but they know the mechanics of it, they absolutely stomp a game, right?
Mm.
So all I would say is whatever mon you choose to learn, learn the moves of that mon, but just almost drill it into your mind that, like for example, let's say Wiggly. Okay, if my team's starting a fight, then I'm going to sing and try and go for their front, their squishy sort of their attacker, their all rounder. Um, and it's just learning who you need to go for essentially. Because
Mm.
you've got to play everything so well. As I say, the easier a Pokemon is, the more you've got to do. That's the
Okay.
easiest way to describe it. The
Mhm.
harder the Pokemon is, the less you have to do, but the bigger fallout you would have, if that makes sense. Like, I think there's a mechanic in Pokemon Unite now where if you've got a novice Pokemon, then it doesn't punish you as hard for getting things wrong.
Yeah.
But also it's harder to make a difference.
You
Hmm.
get
I
complacent there
mean,
sometimes.
yeah, and we've got Chaos on the team, and he's probably one of the best Pikachus I've seen. He's definitely the best Pikachu player in the server, or Espeon, and he has a way of taking these sort of novice fundamental Pokemon and just making them horrible. Like, it's just so what he's
To be,
so
to
good
be
at.
honest, it kind of sums up his, we're gonna say about the whole joke about the whole age joke
Yeah.
thing and how he pokes fun at, he's a very comical guy and it kind of sums up his personality, doesn't it? Actually, a little bit the fact that it just makes something just so like, you know,
Oh, it's so horrible to deal with. If you're
Yeah,
against Chaos
yeah.
and he picks one of these sort of, you look at the Pokemon, you're thinking, oh, it's not going to make a
Oh, it's
difference.
Pikachu, like
And then
fine,
all of a
whatever.
sudden, he's a pest on you all game, and he will not leave you alone until you try and turn around and fight him. But then if you turn around and fight him, he kills you. It's like,
It's basically, I think Sableye rubbing off on him. I think since he picked up
yeah.
Sableye, I mean, he's always played Espeon well. Like he's always played Espeon well, but like I feel like because he's picked up Sableye, I feel like it's just kind of unlocked this kind of like
The
this
toxic.
like literally no. You laugh, but I honestly think that's the case. I mean, I never
Yeah.
really knew him be like that until and since he picked up Sableye, that's kind of it. I think it's just unlocked this new kind of like thing in him really that makes him an absolute menace.
I love it because it brings out that in the rest of the team as well. Like if you got him in lane with Tano, all of a sudden they're just
Oh god.
diving and dancing on a tier one that they've just annihilated, and it's just like it just makes you laugh. Apo, he cracks me up because we're in bot lane, he kills two mons and he just starts dancing on them, and it's like go and score. Like-
Nice.
And then you've got obviously we've recently made an adjustment and we're giving Tunak more time in the jungle just to
Oh
sort of
really?
heighten that
Oh,
aggressiveness.
that's
But
something new. I didn't realize you were doing that. Okay, that's
yeah, so
interesting.
basically the main thing we're doing we're trying to teach every person every role. Then it makes us very
Ooh,
hard to predict, right?
ooh,
So
that's
if
very
you've got a
interesting.
team of
Okay.
fully flexible people, it's very hard to predict what they're going to do. And we can just, and the beautiful thing is we have those sort of those those sort of meme picks, if you like. We could just meme the other team and just throw some random stuff and we'll make it work. I mean, we ran five speedsters in rank just for the memes.
Yeah,
And it worked. Like, but I
yeah,
think
yeah.
as well we have that trust in each other, and I think that's what you really need to build in a team is trust. You trust in each other that you're gonna put your best in no matter what, and once you do that, then generally anything's possible without sounding too cheesy or cliche.
Hmm.
I
That's
totally
very
agree.
interesting.
I totally
Interesting
agree.
approach.
So I need to talk with Chaos or Apo to get my gaming going with them.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna troll the other team, then yes.
Okay.
I think if you've got every player in this server brings their own thing, right? So you've
Hmm.
obviously got Tiny is a very, very good support player. You've got like, for example,
Yeah.
Damien Lupus. They're great defenders, but they can also have that flexibility. Um, you've got, I mean, I just play what I need, what's needed. I know I say not to do that, but I'm comfortable at a point where I can just sort of slide into that versatile role. You've got Apo's probably the best all-rounder in the server, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's being honest with people as well. They know they're the best at what they do necessarily. I think it's the easiest way to put it. You got Tunak, he's a very, very good tank. Everyone's the best at what they do in their own right because everyone plays differently. You can't really compare anyone in the server to one another because everyone has their own different play style and they're each the best at what they do. And I think that's the thing to remember as well. You can't almost throw three all-rounders, for example, let's say, you can't exactly say, oh, Tano, Tunak, and Jake, they're all the same players, so we're just going to judge them on that. They're not.
Hmm.
No.
They're each the perfect all-rounder for what's needed at the time. And I think once you adapt that mentality as well, it becomes very easy, especially and if you're in a tournament game, it becomes very easy to break the other team because you will find their pivotal point that every player evolves around. And once you keep killing that person, the tilt sets in and then you wipe them out. And as much as I hate it, that is part of gaming. You tilt the other team and you win.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Ma-
brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal, and I hate it. But at the end of the day, that's almost the competition mindset. If you watch any pro game, they are focusing the same person at the beginning of every fight, and I'm pretty sure that's why, because they want to just take that person out of the game and they want to bring that person down so that the team can't rely on them, and then they're stuck.
Hmm.
You could try and find like obviously the squishy mons and obviously
Mm.
the carries and target them because obviously they're the carries and the squishy mons and you want to make sure they can't do what they need to do. But
Yeah,
also if you've got a team where you know they've got one, I was saying this with Steele when I used to play Clash for League. They do the tiering of a clash based on an average of the team's rank. And you
yeah.
might have one person who might be about a rank or two higher than the rest of their team, but because the rest of the team's lower, they've had to like be pulled down basically. And I was talking about targeting bans, obviously. you get 5 bans in league, you can ban 5 of their top mons and be like, right, you can't play what you want.
Yeah.
It's similar sort of thing in Unite. If you know a professional team well enough and go, oh, like Gatlu, for example, Gatlu is, he plays a lot of mons. Anything he plays well, or a Daisu, or whatever they play well. You could be like, right, just go for them. Whether they're playing, just get rid of them, sort of thing.
Yeah,
100%. And but obviously that comes probably more professional play because you might know the players individually. But no. So I guess it's kind of making a sense that you're making sure everyone's good, so you don't have that targeting effect. In which case then we're going back to the standard. Oh, he's squishy, let's go for the squishy. In which case that's where your defender, your support comes in. But yeah. But no, it's all good stuff.
Cool. So it's good to hear more about the mental warfare that goes on behind your decisions in the games here. That's also like amazing.
I love
to
that
hear.
phrase. The mental warfare.
Yeah.
The resilience, and also the just sheer anguish and just big pain in the ass. But yeah, sorry, Seal, carry on.
No, I was gonna say, like, it's kind of interesting how we say that, because I'm doing a project at uni right now about mental resilience, and learning how to stay with some of the decisions you make. I'm still working on it right now, but I got a presentation at next week sometime, so I suppose I'll have to let you know how it goes. So it's a relevant thing, totally. But I also wanted to say, this is sort of a leading question as well, that I know Tony's favorite food is lasagna. Right?
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah.
So why is lasagna number 1 for you?
First thing I knew how to make. First thing I say first thing I knew how to make. First thing I learned how to make well.
Yeah.
I think starting very young in the kitchen, you're almost the runt of the kitchen.
Yeah.
You're doing all the scut work essentially. You're just there as an extra. And I lost count of how many times I had to chop vegetables for lasagna, and then one day I just made my own and I made it well, and I was like, do you know what? I like this. And I think that almost gave me the boost that I needed, and that holds a lot of sentimental value for me. Every time I have a lasagna, it takes me back to when I was just starting in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, like when I made this and then everyone are in the kitchen, all the sous chefs, the chef de pies, the head chef, they tried it and they're happy. I was like, oh my god, I can do this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and
good feedback.
As well, like I always remember how almost out of comfort I was. I was really out of my comfort zone, and I'd done that. So obviously during the time when it was getting a bit hard and I was down and the kitchen was just drilling, and my mental health took quite a bad turn, I would just always go back to that. This is how it started. You were not feeling great and you pushed through, so just do that again. And literally every time, and I use that as like a pivot point. And I think that's the thing as well, like especially in sort of building that mental resilience, you find that pivot point where you've got through quite a tricky time, and you use that as an anchor, and then you push through, and then if you do that, anything becomes easy. Honestly, anything is easier to overcome if you stick to that.
Yeah, man, I'm taking notes right now. Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful to hear. So the reason I know this is your favorite food is because I made you a player card.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been dishing these out for our members of the org here because it's a way for us to connect and share things. Tiny, you're getting one as well.
I was going to say, I've never heard of this.
You're getting one, okay? Yeah.
Oh, yay!
So I could even quiz you right now, Tiny.
Go on, go for it. Interview me.
So it's not too bad. We're going to be asking 5 questions.
Okay.
And your first one is, what is your favorite food?
Such a hard question.
Right, there's a lot. Yeah.
Thai green curry.
Thai green curry.
Oh, good choice.
From a specific venue, or is it homemade?
No, homemade. My dad makes a very good Thai green curry, and it's going to sound really bad. Basically, my dad makes a really good one. Doesn't make it with like paste. He makes it with like fresh, like fresh lemongrass, fresh limes, marinated chicken with lime, ginger, chili, like, all chopped up in basically a big Tupperware dish, and then like make it. It's whenever I've dated somebody and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, let me cook for you, kind of like a romantic gesture. I always cook Thai green. I cook Thai green curry because it takes a lot of work. It tastes great, and also like you can tell a lot of effort's gone into it because a lot of effort does go into it.
Yeah.
And it tastes really, really good if I say so myself. So yeah, Thai green curry, and I love eating it as well. So
Okay. Second question is, what is your favorite pro player? Who is your favorite pro player? Yeah.
Oh gosh, favorite pro player. Ooh.
To throw it on you, can also come. I mean, you can also mention streamers.
Yeah.
You can mention maybe a player here, a player of the week.
I was gonna say, I feel like I don't really watch that many. I know it sounds awful, but I don't really watch that many streamers. I might watch Spraggles every now and again, but that's about it. Apart from people in the org, I watch the org streams when I can. Obviously, you guys know that I try and watch them when I can. And like gift subs, like have a sub, you have a sub, you have a sub,
Yeah.
like But
and thank you for the subs as well. Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But oh. I don't know. I quite like the I quite like Nouns esports players. Like I've watched Bruv a couple. I tend to watch Bruv quite a lot, mainly because he's a support main as well. So I try and like not pinch ideas, but just kind of like see. Okay, it's more of a self assessment of where I'm at. So I'll probably go with like Bruv or Gatlu or something like that. Probably.
Okay.
If it wasn't going to say a Thunder person, obviously I'm much rather. My favorite people are the Thunder people.
You're cool. You're cool.
But if I had to say somebody who wasn't in Thunder, I'd probably say them.
Okay. And your favorite mon?
Flygon actually is my favorite mon.
Flygon?
Oh, unconventional choice, I know, but yeah, no Flygon.
I don't know, man. In my head, it's still 151, so I got to work on it.
Oh, I forget that you're like stuck about 10 years in the past.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Flygon's my favorite. Well, he's just Gen 3, so he's not that young. He's a Gen 3 boy. Gen 3 is my favorite gen, it's the by the by, but no, Flygon, big green dragon boy, what's not to love? He's got a cool quiff.
Cool. Do you know, on average or around about estimate, how many hours you've played in Unite?
Oh gosh, probably I can't really say. It's gonna be probably. It's got to be more than 200 hours easy, but I can't say really. Well, I'm trying to think. I play at least 6 hours a week just in practice.
Yeah.
And then I play like a bit on either side, and I've been playing for over a year, so I'm trying to like do the mental maths.
That's a lot.
It'll easily be about 300 hours plus probably. I want to say, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to check actually. Tony might be able to correct me on that. I don't know if there's a way to actually check. But...
I literally just took my total games, times that by 10, and put it into hours.
That's actually a good idea. Leave that with me. I'll let you know.
Cool.
I'll send a message to you when I find out.
Cool. And your hometown?
Worksop's my hometown. Yeah, Worksop's my hometown, which is.
How do I spell that?
Work, as in like go to work.
Okay.
And SOP, SOP, just Worksop, just one word. Yeah, it's like a small mining town near Sheffield. So I moved down to Nottingham to study, and I've been here since. But that's where I'm from originally.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look that up. Cool. And just to throw it at you, do you have like a favorite quote from something?
Favorite quote?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, not really. I mean, I say get in the bin quite a lot, but I feel that's just something I've picked up from work.
I love it though.
Because when I'm on call and a doctor or a nurse says something that's I think personally is not very smart, I won't say stupid. I'll just say not very smart. Like, and they want my advice, or they want, and I can't say it to their face because I'm a professional person. Okay, I'm very professional at work. I'll mute it and I'll say to my colleague, like, they've really just asked me for this drug at like out of hours, and or they'll say that to me like, oh Meg, they want this drug out of hours. I'll look around and go, oh, tell them to get in the bin. Like, I don't literally mean like tell them to get in the bin, but it's just a phrase I use quite a lot. So probably get in the bin is my phrase.
I think
I use most often.
I love that.
Yeah, I might have to start using that as well.
Like, yeah, I think I said it. I think I've already said it on stream actually. Probably at some point.
Get in the bin.
Get in the bin.
Get in the bin. I love that.
It's honestly so funny that you say that, because when obviously my wife was a nurse for many years, and when we were like just sort of newly into our relationship and our marriage, well, we still do this time. Like, if one of us does something that, like, if one of us like eats the chocolate without the other person, like something simple like that, we're like in the bin. It's so funny that you say that, because maybe it's like a medical profession thing.
I don't know, it might be. So I picked it up from work because one of my work colleagues used to say it, and I think I just picked it up, and now I just say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if someone's annoyed, like if someone's annoyed me, like if a housemate goes like tries to tease me, I'll just say, "Oh, get in the bin," or "Oh, get in the bin." Like I just say it so often in just different ways. I feel like it's just part of my vocabulary now. It's just innate.
It's who you are now.
That is now my identity. It's not being short. It's now that phrase. That is my phrase now.
This is how we will remember you. So I also have an announcement to make. Super woo, big announcement. Woo, yeah. So I'm putting together an in-house tournament for our league players, but it's open to anyone in the org. I can be convinced to invite people who are friends of people in the org as well if you want to get involved. 2v2 League of Legends ARAM challenge, and you can sign up now. I'm planning on running it the 10th of February, which is also my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, so if you want to learn or if you want to earn some respect with League of Legends and make some friends, you can follow the link below this video or MP3, wherever you're listening. Sign up. Yeah, on Spotify. Hello. And you can bring your friend, and then we'll make some great content and memories forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to try and crack out the, get the blow the dust off my gamer mouse and maybe crack on with some League.
Do it.
Yeah,
I want to see Tiny League.
Oh no, it's not that.
Yes.
I'm tempted to get Zephyr. I might see if I can steal Zephyr for duo queue.
Do it.
Like the good old days, bringing the pizza party Discord back into light.
Pizza party?
That was the server that me and Zeph met on before he moved over here, and I moved over here after him.
Oh yeah.
So we used to play together quite a lot. So it's like saying it's bringing back old memories. So
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
I might have to download League, cry for a few hours, and then uninstall in rage.
Yeah, man, I don't even play League now. I just play TFT, and even that, like as you saw, that's still a struggle.
Yeah, so it's quite funny because Underlords is literally a TFT version of Dota. Like it's the same thing. It's exactly the same principle. That was the game you were saying about earlier. It's so weird, isn't it? How you almost have that. It's either Dota or League, and there's no sort of in between.
Yeah.
There's like Heroes of the Storm, which I tried to play for a little bit and just didn't get on with it. I was just like, nah, Blizzard, go away, Blizzard. Like I'm not interested.
I don't know. Maybe I'll install League. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay, it's good to know. I'm waiting for you though. It's always waiting for you. If you want to get involved, we'll go for it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So as for you guys, I've really enjoyed this chat today. It's gone on for like I didn't realize what the time was either.
The time has flew.
Yeah. And I really appreciate your time and for being so open.
Oh.
That's been really enjoyable.
Sia, we've missed a very important.
I know what you're gonna say.
Wait, what do you think I'm gonna say?
I've got big expectations because ex-chef here. We've got all the bants, right?
Tony,
Yeah.
you've not told us a joke.
I've not told you a joke.
Yeah.
We need to tell us a joke.
Is that like a rite of passage? No?
It's normally initiation. Yes, I mean we had Bulba's. Was it the?
You can't do worse than that. You'll be fine.
Did Bulba throw a very questionable joke then?
Nah.
No, it was good. It was good. I liked Zephyr's nose and foot one. That was quite a good one.
Yeah.
What was Zephyr's one?
Why is?
Oh God.
I can't remember it now. It was something like why is a nose not 12 foot?
Wait.
No, I've just told her. Why is a nose not 12 inches? Because then it'd be a foot.
Oh God. Okay.
See?
It's a proper dad joke, but it was good. It was good.
Okay. See if I know any dad jokes.
Is Tony a dad?
Oh no, I just love dad jokes.
Okay.
Okay, here's one. Why do people take extra socks when they go golfing?
I don't know.
In case they get a hole in one.
Oh.
There you go.
Boo.
You're welcome.
Boo. Get out. Get in the bin.
I don't know how to feel. Yeah.
Hey, at least
it was
it's not,
good.
yeah, it was good. It was good.
It was
I like
good.
that one.
Yeah. He stepped up.
No, he stepped up and we put you up completely on the spot. I should have given you warning beforehand, but I forgot.
Yeah, I was also like, obviously when you said tell us a joke, all like the NSFW one, I kept it very sort of PG.
To be fair, we are an explicit podcast technically, but yes.
Do it.
I was going to say we are an explicit podcast. If you've got one that's a bit
Be a lad.
PG, then go for it.
Lad.
No, do you know what? I think my favourite one is I think my favourite one is probably. I'm trying to think how it goes now. You put me on the spot. No, I'm trying to think exactly how it's worded, but it was essentially me and my girlfriend split up. Me and my ex-girlfriend split up because she was cross-eyed. We just couldn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're warming up.
I think, I would expect you to do it dirtier than that, I'll be honest.
Oh, but the thing is, like, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you get put on the spot, and then all of the jokes that you watch, as soon as we hang up this podcast, I'll just be like, bang, 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 firing them out.
I got one for you. All right, what did the toaster say to the slice of bread?
I don't know.
What?
I want you inside me.
Oh, God, no, okay.
Now we're getting somewhere.
That was a bit shit. Not good.
Now we're getting off. All right, cool. You know what? I deserve that. Okay, how do you make a pool table laugh?
I don't know.
Tickle its balls.
Wow.
I'm done. I'm sorry. I used to do stand-up, guys. I'm not doing it for, there's a reason, isn't there? So that's why I live stream.
Is that a good point? Is that a good point to end?
I mean, I'm good. If there was something you guys you wanted to talk about, I'm all for it.
No,
we do need to nominate. We do need to nominate someone.
Oh, I got another one for you.
Yeah, hit me.
What do you call?
He's just Googled this. He's just Googled. You've just Googled this, haven't you?
No. So basically, this one. So this was. I think it was wrote to me actually. It was on a Twitch stream. So it was someone that I've never spoken to before, and they came in and they said, "What do you call someone that is a master at baiting?"
I don't know.
A skilled seaman.
Oh my god, dude, that's the best joke. That's the best.
That was good. I like that one.
As much as I love it, I cannot take credit for that one.
That was a good one.
It goes to one of my mates.
So did you just pop into the stream and just like copy and paste, just
so
jokes and stuff?
This guy, he was like, so it was the first time that I ever, like, we're quite good friends now, but it's the first time I ever spoke to him. He literally just came in and just delivered that one liner, and then I was just absolutely wetting myself. And then since then we've been mates.
All right, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for
me too.
sharing
it's
everything.
been good. Thank you.
Did we pick someone?
No, we didn't get that far.
Do we want to try that? We keep saying we want Big D on board.
But Big D's always busy.
Yeah. Doing Big D
Tony,
things.
come on. You can nominate someone, Tony.
Oh, what to come on the next one?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would probably say... either Jake or Zephyr.
Zephyr's already...
Oh, Zephyr's already done one. Yeah, of course he done last.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would probably say Apo then.
I was tempted to get Apo and Tano together.
Oh God.
Yes.
I know. I was debating it. I don't know how we'll...
Get ready for Apo to be calling Tano an old man for an hour and a half.
Grandpappy Tano. I was just saying, but he's not even the oldest in the org by he's not even the oldest. I don't know where that's even come from.
Oldest in his soul. His soul's trapped in 1882.
It's all coming out now.
No, we'll try and get Apo and Tano. I think that'd be quite funny.
Cool. Hey, that's sound.
Lovely.
We'll bring the bands back. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll wrap it here. Thank you guys for being on board, and to all our listeners, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll be online next time, maybe with some more people. More people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll get somebody else.
Yes.
Cool.
Sweet. Thank you. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.
No worries. Bye.